The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
We're postponed for a day, but we're back tonight. Welcome to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We're presented by Belly Up Sports Media Network. I'm Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the co-hosts of the show, and to my right is a man who's tired of the comparisons of Karl Anthony Towns and Michael Jordan, the real GOAT, Dustin Henry. Dustin.
You flatter me. I might be a mountain goat, but that's all I'll be. But as I understand it, I think he is tired of it himself. He came out and said, "Hey, don't compare him to me. You know, he's the greatest. I cannot be compared to him." So props to, although he is playing extremely well. Well, and I have been invested in the NBA playoffs, although it doesn't look good for my Mavs right now. The Thunder took care of business last night.
Hey, it's only one game.
I know.
Only one game.
I know. Thunder are good though. They're legit. They were the 1 seed this year, and they came back from. Did they even make the playoffs last year? I can't remember if they made the playoffs last year. I don't know. I might have to do some RTR for that.
All right. Well, yeah, as for me, I'm knee deep in the Capital Region sports scene, which we're going to talk about in just a brief moment. But before that, we're going to do some business. Business to take care of here. We want to talk about where you can find us on social media. It's right down here below: Twitter, Instagram, and the TikTok, which I only use for like FireWolves games these days. It's at No Creds REQ. Facebook.com/No Creds REQ. YouTube.com/at No Creds REQ. You can also find us on 502 American Angel Radio, internet radio, on Wednesdays, which was today, at 8 a.m. Eastern. You can also find us on Rumble. This show is on replay at 8 a.m. Eastern the next day after our programs. But if you wouldn't mind, please kindly like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of our social media platforms right down here below. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Good Pods, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find podcasts. Rate and review. A 5-star rating would be very, very helpful. And also, if you're on a platform where you can review, leave us a review. We might even read it on the air, because ratings and reviews lets people know that our show is out there. And we are a live show. Usually we're on Tuesdays, but I had a family matter to take care of last night. Everything's fine. Just heads up. Everything's fine. Just a consulting conversation. But we're live most Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Some Saturdays through the NFL season. When the NFL season begins, we'll be on every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So, because we're a live show, we want you to engage with the show. We want your comments. And Dustin, I know it's been a few days since we heard this magical sound, and I know you really, really, really want to hear it.
Oh, yeah. Always looking forward to the sound.
Let's go. That's right, folks. Just, again, leave us a comment, whether you watch it on live or you watch it on replay. Leave us a comment. That way you know the show. We know you want to engage with the show. So let's talk about the Capital Region. Professional sports. Capital Region professional sports is on fire.
It is. We got a little heat going right now, and you're right in the center of it.
And it's good heat. It's not bad heat. It's good heat.
Yeah.
For a change. So let's talk about a couple of teams that are doing very well right now. Let's talk about the Albany FireWolves National Lacrosse League. They're 2 wins away from the franchise's first ever National Lacrosse League Cup. I was there on Sunday afternoon for the game clinching series clinching win for the Albany FireWolves. They went to San Diego on Friday night, played a late game, wound up pulling off a 14-12 win. And then on Sunday, came back to the MVP arena in front of a capacity crowd in the lower bowl and fell behind 2-0 early. But they came back and they never looked back. And this team is just so much fun to watch. And I'm gonna say right here, I'm gonna reach out to my buddy Steven, who's doing the PR and the communications for the Firewolves. I'm gonna try to get Coach Clark and a couple players next week, not for this particular program, but maybe a sneak preview podcast, a little podcast.
Whoa!
To preview the National Lacrosse League Cup final. And I gotta say to our fans, Albany, Capital Region, show up for these guys. Show up for these guys who won 3 games. This many games last year in 2022, 2023. This many games. And they are this many games away from their first ever championship. Support this team. They're going to be here next year. All right. I know the bugaboo with our sports fandom, particularly our pro sports fandom, is that, they're only here for a couple of years. What happened? And then all of a sudden it's like, we should go to the game. And all of a sudden they leave. They announce they're leaving. And it's like, where'd they go? Why'd they leave? They leave because they don't show up. Do you want dirty Buffalonians showing up to your front door next Friday night at 7:30? No, you don't. Buy a ticket. Support this team. They have worked their asses off this year. They've worked, and they were. Look, let me tell you how much written off they were before the season began. I remember seeing on DraftKings. I can also remember seeing on social media from a lacrosse reporter. The Firewolves, their odds of winning the NLL Cup this year, plus 2,100.
Oh man, Ryan, did you put some cheddar down?
I did not put any cheddar down. I rue that because if I put $10 down,
yeah, you'd have a
Nice
hefty vacation fund, my friend.
I would have a hefty vacation fund and a car fund for the next car I buy.
Yeah.
I rue that. I totally rue that. But listen, Capital Region fans, again, I know we're fickle when it comes to pro sports. I've had my friends Ashley Miller and Chris Honorado. We talked about it back in 2022, going as far back as December 2022. We talk about how fickle this area is when it comes to pro sports. You've got a team that's on the cusp of winning their first championship in their 3rd season, coming off a 3-win season. Support them. Otherwise, you're going to come back and whine again when this team announces, we can't survive here. We got to pick up shop. We're moving to Montreal. Dustin, give me your thoughts, man.
I mean, I agree with you. And I've got to put my money where my mouth is a little bit. But I mean, what a turnaround for this team. This is very Oklahoma Thunder-like because no, they did not make the playoffs last year. And now here they are dusting my Mavs in the first game. But from 3 wins total to 2 wins away from the championship, you got to take your hats off to them. That's just great coaching. That's the players coming together. That they seem to be clicking on all cylinders right now. And also, it's no small task. That time zone difference and that travel that can really affect teams and mess with the dynamic of the team and mess with people don't get the rest they need and stuff. But it seems like, come on, everybody in the Capital Region, they need that home cooking. And we got to give it to them. We got to support them.
Ooh,
we got to get out there.
I have some breaking news.
All right.
Breaking news that just came up on my phone. It's not related to the Capital Region sports scene, but I gotta have a breaking news here. Where is my bumper? Hang on 1 second here. Where is that bumper? Is it this one? No, it's not that one.
Well, the bumper itself told you it wasn't that one.
What about this one? Nope, it's not Tyrese Alizé McDummy. Nope, it's not him. What about this one?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Oh, I haven't seen that one in a while.
No, I haven't. All right, I found the correct bumper.
Yeah.
So, according to ESPN, 3 experts hired to lead the New York Jets athletic care and performance department are no longer with the team.
Ooh.
God.
The Jets have had a lot of injuries, huh?
Yeah, that's why they let them go.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the Capital Region sports scene. So next Friday night, 7:30, MVP Arena, Albany, Capital Region, Albany, Schenectady, Troy, the suburbs, Clifton Park, Niskayuna. Hey, Saratoga. I know Saratoga, Shenandoah, Colony, Niskayuna, especially Niskayuna, big lacrosse areas.
Yep.
Albany, their lacrosse team, men's lacrosse team is in the NCAAs this year. You Albany fans, come show up for your team. You don't want these Buffalonians coming in and buying up all your seats and be a sea of orange. No, you want it to be a blackout. You want the blackout. You don't want it to be orange in that arena.
Yeah,
especially for game 1.
And and I will admit, I watched a lot of River Rats games back in the day, thanks to my buddy Schmitty, who was a season ticket holder. And I was sad when the River Rats left, right? But I didn't go see the Devils enough. Well, I would watch a few games a year, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. If we want teams to stay here, we've got to support them. And the Valley Cats are still here because people go out to that stadium. The Joe is a nice place to watch a game. Love it. I love having Browns on tap there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's places down by the MVP Arena too. There's things to do. I know for a fact because of my day job, they're making updates to the MVP Arena. They're constantly trying to renovate it, modernize the arena, make it a better place to go watch a game.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. That concourse is a delight, and they're adding stuff in for the concessions. They're doing a great. Hey, Albany County doing a fantastic job. All right, you're doing a fantastic job. We just got to show up. I know we show up. I talked about this before. We show out when the NCAA, when the big tournaments come to town.
Oh yeah,
we show up for the Siena games. We show up for the Albany Cup. We show up for all those things. Show up for your professional teams. Because you're going to complain once they leave town again. Where'd they go? Why didn't they stay? You know why. You know why.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this before over and over and over again on this show. The reason why they leave is because you don't show up. Now is your chance to show up for a team that is 2 wins away from their first league championship. And the times before when they were in Philadelphia, when they were the OG Philadelphia Wings, those don't count. Those don't count. This counts. You want to see another banner raised in Albany? We've had several banners raised in Albany for professional teams over the last couple of years. Albany Empire, 21 and 2022 NAL champions. Yes. We won't talk about 2023.
No, we talked about 2023 enough in the archives. If you want to go back,
you can check them out in the archives. So, look, I don't have the reason. I mean, you might say, oh, it's just too expensive to go to a game compared to, I don't know, going to a Yankee game, going to a Mets game, going to a Red Sox game, Giants, Jets. Compared to those games,
yeah,
you got a team in your backyard that can win a championship this year. And no, it might not be a sport that you say, oh, they're not in the mainstream. Who cares? It's your team. They're in your backyard. Come on out, show up, support them, please.
And maybe you'd actually find that you like watching if you try watching a sport you never watched before. Newsflash, before I was really into hockey, my buddy Schmitty, he asked me, he comes up again. The last time I brought him up, he materialized. We'll see if that happens. But he was like, hey,
summoned.
you want to go see, well, the first hockey games I watched with him were the River Rats games. And prior to that, I wasn't really into hockey, but you know what? The River Rats were a gateway. After that, I got into fantasy hockey. I started following the NHL more than I ever did. And he said, you want to go see the Pens versus the Islanders? And I said, sure, because it's an NHL game. I had never been before, and I enjoyed myself. Fast forward a few years, hockey's my favorite sport to watch live. When I wasn't that into it, I kind of followed it on the outskirts, but I wasn't that into it. Hockey is bar none my favorite sport to watch live. Second favorite, baseball, but baseball is more of an experience. If you go straight on gamesmanship, hockey's my favorite to watch by a mile. And we went for that crazy offensive New Year's Eve explosion a couple of years ago. Your Devils came out on top, though.
Nerd. And there were a couple of former Albany Devils on that team at that time. Mackenzie Blackwood was on the team. He's now in San Jose, and Damon Severson was on the team. He's now in Columbus, but former Albany Devils were on that team. So yeah, I'm going to try to get some, try to do a preview for the NLL Cup. Get coach, do a recording with coach, do a recording with a couple players, one veteran, one rookie. And here's the thing about these players. These players love this area. They love this area. They love the fact that, it's I wouldn't say it's the only game in town, but it's cross promotion with the Firebirds. The Firebirds, you'll see them at the arena. So you'll see some Albany Patroons, the basketball team. They'll be at the arena supporting the team. They love this area. The players love this area. Believe it or not, they actually like being in this area and playing for your city. And that's the one thing that I think is missing from all this, is that you say, oh, it's lacrosse. It's still indoor lacrosse, but still professional. It's still a professional league. The NLL has been around for a very, very long time. They've been through their ups and downs too. And here they are. It's now here's my bugaboo, is that 15,000 will show up for the Premier Lacrosse League, which is the outdoor league, but they won't come and support the indoor league. It's still the same game, just a little different. Come show up.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned the Philadelphia Wings, because my last attack game, I went through a period in high school where we were going to a fair bit of attack games. They were fun. And the Philadelphia Wings, they had a couple real serious fans, and they had their the leader of their section there. He had like a cape. He was all decked out. I remember that. And he was going, and I remember one of my friends,
Captain Wang.
Yeah, that's what it was. And one of my friends, he tried, but when there was a penalty, he got up and he said, "Fly to the box, Wings." And we said, sit down. Don't, that one didn't really land. That one didn't really land, but it was a fun time. It was a fun time. So that gave me a chuckle that now the former Philadelphia Wings now reside in our city. I did not know that.
That's really cool. Yeah. They were in Philadelphia, then they moved to New England. They played at the Mohegan Sun Arena for a couple of years, and they relocated to Albany in 2021. So, and here's the other cool part. So Coach Glenn Clark, also the GM of the team, he basically, after 2022, tore this team down to the studs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And built it back up. So, and it's just, and he talked about it on Sunday after the game. He was asked, could you, in your wildest dreams, could you imagined that your team would be here at this point in the season this year? He says, I expected an improvement from last year. I didn't expect it to be this big,
Mhm.
this soon. So this team and Alex Simmons, who is going to be, I think he's far and away the rookie of the year, scored over 100 points. I think it was the fourth rookie in league history to score over 100 points. It's goals and assists in a season. He has 17 points, and he had 17 points in the semifinal alone. He had 10 points on Friday and 7 points on Sunday. He's one of 3 players on the team that got a hat trick. I mean, that's how potent this offense is.
Wow.
Yeah. And they caught fire at the right time. He said after the game, we're a young team. We're they said they're the second youngest team in the league. He says, we're going to be here for a very long time. He says, we're going to be here for 5-6 years. And I won't doubt it. If they win this time, if they win on Sunday, if they get the win on Friday, if they win this series, if they win the cup, this team could turn into a dynasty in our own backyard. And it would be so
something.
awesome.
Oh,
that
yeah.
would be something. That would be something.
Yeah.
And I think the winning, if they win the cup, that's going to be a starting point to something big for this team.
Yeah, you could be right. I think you got to play the thunderclap. I think you got to play the thunderclap because it's an official Rystradamus prediction here. But I will say I feel like this is a special time for sports in the area. We have the return of the Firebirds. The FireWolves are doing well.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Baseball season. The Valley Cats are going to be here.
Yep.
We got something cooking. Multiple options.
Adirondack Thunder, wire to wire, North Division champions. They're currently in the playoffs. They're in the North Division final. They're down 2-0 in the series right now, but they were down. They were down the last series, took the 7 games, and they wound up winning Game 7. So it's an exciting time for pro sports in the Capital District, in the Capital Region. Please go support your teams. And all right, I got the thunderclap. So So here we go. If the Albany FireWolves wind up winning on this series, they're the next dynasty in the National Lacrosse League.
I heard that sounder.
Yep. All right, we're moving on to another team that's in the Capital Region that's on fire. The Albany Firebirds. 2 wins to start the season. I was there for Saturday's game, or I was there for Saturday's opener, last Saturday's opener. I was there for Thursday night's game. It was supposed to be on the NFL Network, but unfortunately, something's going on with the league and the NFL Network. And NFL Network's, kind of being shady about things. So we'll talk about the Arena Football League in just a brief moment, but we're going to talk about the Albany Firebirds exclusively. No fights in the crowd this time.
It's progress.
Or on Sunday. Although I will say there was somebody from the San Diego Seals who's being particularly dirty, and I won't mention his name because he don't deserve it because he ain't playing no more this year. But Thursday's game was pretty wild. Firebirds went up 20-7. Nashville scores a touchdown with less than a minute left in the second quarter. They kicked the ball. They had the kickoff, and it goes off the net, bounces around, picked up by a Nashville Cats player, runs in the end zone. They're up. They go up 1 at the end of the half. You're like, whoa, where did this come from? So actually, Nashville got the ball back in the second half. They got the ball first. But here's what happened that was particularly wild. So Mark Orozco, kicker for the Firebirds, kicks the ball, kicks it, and it hits the net kind of dead.
Okay.
And it bounces off the bottom of the net, because in arena football you have the rebound nets, that's one of the best inventions ever for indoor football. So it hits the bottom of the net, and real nice. So it hits the bottom of the net, and it kind of dies, and just kind of bounces up in the air. It goes in the returner's hands, and the returner doesn't get out of the end zone. So in the league, that's scored as a point. It's a rouge. So if the opposing team keeps if the kicking team keeps the receiving team in the end zone on a kickoff, they get a point.
Okay.
So score's tied. Firebirds force a 4 and out. Score touchdown. Kicks the extra point. It's 28-21. On the ensuing kickoff, Orozco kicks it in the uprights. That's a deuce. It's 2 points. So automatically you get a 10-point swing to start the second half, and the Firebirds never looked back. Never looked back. And here's the amazing part about the Albany Firebirds team. On offense, they've had 14 possessions this season. They've scored on every single possession.
Awesome. That's a great percentage. I believe that's 100.
Yes, that is literally 100%.
I'm no mathematician.
Yeah, I'm no mathematician either, but you know, I'm not a math guy. I'm an English guy, but yeah, that's 14 out of 14. It's 100%. Darius Prince had 5 touchdowns. Their quarterback, his name escapes me for a moment. Jake. Oh, can't remember his name, but Medlock, Jake Medlock. He scored a running touchdown. He's been on fire, so to speak. The defense has been, you know, they had tough sledding on Saturday on their home opener, but they went up getting this 2 crucial stops that turned the game around, and the Firebirds went up winning that game. They had a few defensive stops in this game, which turned the tide for the Firebirds. So another team, you know, again, another team to support, another pro teams to support as Firebirds. It brings back that nostalgia. There's a power in that name. And here's the funny part. So listen to our guy, friends of the show, Levac and Gaz. That they were supposed to travel this weekend. They were supposed to travel to Minnesota to play the Minnesota Myth. Credit to Levac on that one. He's the one who doing it first. But they were supposed to travel to Minnesota to play the Myth. I almost said MILF again. The Myth.
He's burned it into your head now.
It's burned into my brain. It's an earworm. It's a brain worm now. But since the Timberwolves are in the playoffs, Timberwolves have first priority.
Well, Natch.
Yeah. So instead, this Monday night, the 14th, the 13th, 6:30, MVP Arena, your Albany Firebirds are back at home.
Oh, man.
They have 7 home games this year. That's the craziest thing. They started with 5. Then we found out there's going to be a 6th. There's going to be a Monday night game on July 1st because of the Georgia team not being able to host their game. So there's a 6th game right there. It's a bonus game. Now you have, because of the NBA playoffs, now you have another game on Friday on Monday night. So this is crazy. Like the first 4 games of the year are going to be home games. Travel. So, but if I look at the Albany Firebirds schedule, they have a Monday night game. Then the following game is going to be the next Sunday afternoon. Actually, no, I'm sorry. The first 5 games of the year are going to be home games.
Oh, man.
The road game won't be until June 2nd when they had to travel to Nashville. So,
wow.
Yeah. But again, Capital District, support your local pro teams, please. This is, and I just want to reiterate, and Novak said this on yesterday's show. This is not 2023. You will not see a particular former Pittsburgh Steeler, Tampa Bay Buccaneer at the helm. This is local ownership. All local guys, we locally controlled, locally owned. Come out and support your team, especially now that they started 2-0. They have a game on Monday. They have a game the following Sunday. Come on. Dustin, come on.
Yes. No, I understand.
Get some friends and come out to a game, man. I'll be in the on the floor taking pictures. So,
oh man, getting after it.
And I forgot to give a shout out last week's program to my buddies Tim Capper and Cliffy Pine. They drove all the way from Montreal to come to the season opener. I haven't seen them in 5 years. I may have mentioned it, but if I didn't, I'm sorry. But I hadn't seen them since 2019, and it was awesome to see them coming out, give each other, big bro hugs after we saw each other, just to say hi, and and hopefully I'm hopefully, I like my up to Montreal to see an Alouettes game with them during the
Okay.
summer. So that'll be kind of fun.
Yeah.
So, but Dustin, what's your impressions? Oh, just want to give this shout out to Sick Diggy joining us from Norway, friend of the show. He says Albany, New York should be a clown-free city. It is a clown-free city.
Hey, what's going on, Sick? Thanks for checking us out.
Yeah.
I never can grasp the time difference, but I know it's always late over there.
I think
usually.
it's a 6-hour time difference. I think it's currently 2:38 a.m. on Wednesday or Thursday, excuse me. So, but yeah, no.
A night owl. I like it.
Whoo. So speaking of arena football, I just want to ask: is the Arena Football League okay?
Based on what you told me, no.
Yeah, no. So I again give credit where credit's due to our guys, Levac and guys. Levac talked about this yesterday since he's team president of the Albany Firebirds, and I had talked about seeing a lot of things on social media. He was clarifying things on his program yesterday, but I had seen some stuff about the Philadelphia Soul, how a lot of their accommodations for their travel, a lot of them got shuffled away. Only 4 of their original players showed up for their first game in Louisiana. They had basically no ownership. Like the league took over ownership. Now they've secured local ownership, which is good because I think it's a weird thing that they're not playing in Philadelphia, they're playing in Trenton. So yeah, it's just some weird things with arena football that some of their teams don't play the exact same places that you thought they would play. But I mean, South Jersey, so
yeah, it's close to Philly.
Yeah, so it's close enough to Philly. But that whole thing with the ownership of the Soul. Then you got the owner in Billings, Montana, for the Billings team, the Outlaws, calling out the league commissioner, saying you should resign because you're a clown. The CEO, who is second command, he's no longer with the league. The guy after him, the head of communications, he's no longer with the league. The league is throwing shade at the ownership, saying you had a full year to prepare, and yet why isn't everything the way that it is? Why can't your team secure an arena to play in? This and that. Look, it's on the commissioner to keep tabs on these teams, though.
Yeah,
isn't it? I mean, look, I've been talking a while, Dustin. I mean, if we go back to the Levac and guys, listen to hour 2 yesterday. Levac explains a lot of things, and hey, full credit to him for clarifying everything as league president. He says he basically said, we're doing what we can here in Albany. We care about Albany. We take care of our players. If we take care of our players will have the results on the field. And it seems like the league, I mean, most of the teams are privately owned. There are a handful of teams that are league owned, but it seems like the teams that are league owned are having difficulties trying to stay on the field, or trying to just keep their heads above water.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I don't want to jump to conclusions, but you said it's on the commissioner to keep tabs. Part of overseeing the league is making sure everything's okay with the ownership and with the team situations. And it's funny how you mentioned, because that's what occurred to me, is that you said the teams that are league owned are struggling, which who's overseeing the league? It's the commissioner. So again, it reflects back on that commissioner. If all the league owned teams are the ones that are having these sorts of issues, then you've got to look in the mirror and maybe you quote a certain very large artist who is dating a Chiefs tight end and say, "It's me. I'm the problem. It's me." Also, the owners taking shots at the commish. You got to kind of I don't want to sound like judgmental or anything, but you're the commissioner. You kind of have to uphold an image. Like, don't be engaging with that kind of stuff. I mean, I get the need for wanting to defend yourself, but address that behind closed doors with that owner and just say, hey, I've seen some of your comments in the media, but you've had a full year to prepare what's going on. But going back and forth just makes you look bad. And then you couple it with the things that you discussed last week, talking about like you wanted to go check the schedule and the website wasn't even set up yet, So again, that's a league that is not.
I have to correct myself here. I did find the appropriate website, which is arenafootballusa.com.
Okay.
So that's the website to look at for the updated stats, updated standings. So that's on me.
Okay.
That's on me.
Okay. Small case of user error there, but still,
yes.
to not
it's an ID 10T era.
So did they have a replay up though, where you could watch the games? Because that was another thing we talked about, and these are things that, yes, it's on. And to Levesque's point, he said we care about Albany. Albany is his responsibility, right? The ownership group's responsibility. So that's what he's focusing on. But this commissioner, the entire league, the position of commissioner implies that the entire league overall is your responsibility. Keep it running,
Yeah, and they've already had a team drop off. The Iowa Rampage, they are no longer with the league, so they have folded, which is unfortunate. Yeah. But that means the players have an opportunity to go somewhere better. Actually, I'm looking at the website right now. I don't see standings on here. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong places, but there's some troubles with some of the teams that join the Arena Football League from other leagues, from particular the Champions Indoor Football, Billings, Salina, Southwest Kansas. I guess they're having trouble adjusting to the rules of arena football as opposed to indoor football, which are two totally different. Two totally different animals when it comes to football being played in a smaller setting. So, but I'm looking at the past scores, and it looks like right now the teams in the league that are the most dominant are the Firebirds, the Billings Outlaws, and the Oregon Black Bears. Those are the most dominant teams currently. And the teams that are solid right now, the teams that are solid in terms of ownership: Albany, Orlando, Nashville, Oregon, I believe, is also one of those teams on the list. So they're the most successful teams right now. And although Orlando lost their first home game, it was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter against West Texas last week. So not an ideal start for the Orlando Predators back in the Arena Football League. But I'm rooting for this league. And there's a lot of things a lot of shade being thrown around that I think the league needs to step up and say something about what's going on, about the state of the league. And I think they need to look for more private owners to dive in. According to Wikipedia, there's 2 expansion teams coming next year. The Chicago Rush is coming back. And
that's a name
the Arizona Bandits are going to be part of the expansion for next year. So, and I looked it up. I wanted to verify the Philadelphia Soul do play at the Cure Insurance Arena in Trenton, New Jersey. I know Jersey G giving us flack saying Trenton isn't South Jersey. Listen, I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you that's where they play. But there's a clear line when it comes to sports in New Jersey. I know. I was born there. I grew up there for 7 years. Northern New Jersey, it's all New York, New Jersey teams. From, I would probably say Princeton South, it's Philadelphia-based teams. So Don't at me. I'm just telling you facts.
Just as a disclaimer, Jersey, I am not an expert in things in sports, New Jersey. I'm not an expert in anything, New Jersey. I will defer to you.
and thank you for deferring to me. All right.
I deferred to Jersey. Jersey G, I said.
Whatever. There you go. All right, before we take a quick commercial break, do want to visit the comments section. We got plenty of comments coming in. Thank you for everyone who has commented coming in. Dr. Lady said, I showed up. Thank you, Dr. Lady. We appreciate it. We're gonna do some baseball in the next segment. So
yeah.
We
got baseball's back. Baseball's back.
That's right. Sick Diggy joining us, friend of the show, saying, what in the all types of blue cheese hell? I think we're mentioning the Philadelphia Wings. I think this is what he meant.
Oh, yeah.
Jersey G saying, finally. She also said, she also greets Hot Dr. Lady. She also says, the what now? Did you say MILF? Yes, I said the Minnesota MILF. They're actually the Minnesota Myth, MYTH, like the, no, that's Mist. Never mind. Not Myth. Mist. I was thinking of the video game back in the 90s, but it's the Mist. Yeah. Why don't you purify yourselves in the shores in the waters of Lake Minnetonka?
Did you know I was once governor of Minnesota? I have the documents.
You can find me in the Baja now.
I live in the Baja.
I live in the Baja. Dr. Lady was asking, what sport do the Minnesota MILFs play? They're in the LFL, the Legends Football League. Why it's called the Legends Football League? When they were called the Lingerie Football League. Yes, that's a real thing.
It was, yes.
No, it still is.
Oh, it's still going.
Yeah, it's still going. I don't know who. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Snowman chicken in, sports ball, ref ball, Firebirds ball. Absolutely. Sick saying smart move on the Firebirds ownership, yet to stay local. Absolutely. No clowns allowed. We have banished him to the realms of being on Jason Whitlock's show. Sapna coming in. Sapna joining us from Minnesota. She has purified herself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. Sports ball! And he also has Trenton, as in Trenton, New Jersey. How in the bad beard dye is that possible? Listen, again, I don't make the rules. That's where they elected to play. I can't tell you.
Maybe that was where they could secure an arena, so that's what they were doing.
It's probably cheaper than the Wells Fargo arena.
Yeah, they don't have that Bon Jovi money anymore.
No, they don't, or the Ron Jaworski money for that matter.
Yeah, the Jaws money.
Sick asking, who's in charge of management for the league as for each individual franchise? I don't have the answer to that for you. I will actually, you know what? I'll ask Levac. I'll ask Jeff Levac, team president. I'll ask him who I suspect it would probably be the commissioner, Lee Hutton. I suspect that he's in charge of management for each individual franchise, but I think for each individual franchise, they bring in their own people. Like the Firebirds, they have their own individual ownership. They brought in their own people. So they brought basically a lot of the people they brought in were the same people they had with the Albany Empire 2.0. Prior to a certain clown taking over the team. Dr. Lady asks, who is judgmental? I think he's related to Mentok, the mind taker from Harvey Birdman, attorney at law. I'm Mentok, the mind taker. Sick also asked, speaking of song references, I wonder how Dustin would fare at a karaoke spot.
Well, I'll tell you, Sick, I never like to toot my own horn about anything, but you give me the right song, I'll flex the golden pipes.
I know what song you could do.
What song?
Can I borrow a feeling?
Oh yeah, Kirk Van Houten.
Kirk Van Houten. I'll have to play that spot at the end of the show.
Oh yeah, bring that one back. That was a classic. And also, Ryan, I have an idea. Anytime that we mention the Arena Football League and we mention the Orlando team, we got to get the clip from Book of Mormon and just have it go, Orlando.
Orlando, I love you, Orlando. Jersey D saying, hey. Also saying, hashtag Team G.
That's right. I defer to you on all things Jersey G. I have no expertise.
Sick adding, it's springtime. Surely Ryan must have MILFs on the brain. No comment.
Yeah, I cannot fill this silence.
I cannot fill the silence, so I'm going to withhold any comment regarding my romantic dalliances. He also says the LFL is still going on, and I'm subscribed to their YouTube channel. Okay.
All right.
Is it as bad as I think it is? Or is it... I don't know. Anyway. Also, any last comment before we go to the break. How about I'm Still Standing by Elton John? Listen, I played that... One. Listen, that was my 2022 theme with the New York Jets before the bye week and the horrors that followed. That was my jam. That was my jam for the New York Jets when they won a game, they won games during the 2022 season. And again, this was prior to the bye week and the horrors that followed. So I'm gonna have to break that out again if they go on a winning streak next year.
Oh yeah, definitely do it.
But yeah, I'm definitely playing that I'm cracking up the Elton John after every Jets win. All right. We come back, we're going to talk some baseballs. So stick around for more No Credentials Required. Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets. That's right, folks. It's spring. All right. Do what that handsome man in the commercial, in the voiceover says, and go to your desired sports event on SeatGeek.com. So what you're going to do is you're going to search for your desired event. They have the best prices listed in the seating chart. You'll see a green dot. Every time you see a green dot, that means it's a great deal for your sporting tickets. And for every purchase, your first purchase, for every new customer's purchase, you get $20 off your order of $50 or more by using the promo code BellyUpSports at checkout. It's a great deal. Actually, I actually used that promo code. I tried to use that promo code when I went to New Jersey back in January. Unfortunately, I had used it for another New Jersey Devils game back in the day. So I wasn't able to grab the discount, but that's okay. That's okay. But you can make up an email address and buy our tickets on that email address. But again, promo code BellyUpSports at checkout and SeatGeek.com. Promo code BellyUp, $20 off your order of $50 or more. It's a great deal. And it helps out Belly Up Sports. So you get help out Belly Up Sports. You help the show by using that promo code at checkout. All right. Let's talk some baseball. Speaking of teams on a heater, how's Dustin? Our New York Yankees. They're on a heater right now. They're actually up. I have to do a score update.
All right.
End of the sixth inning. Your New York Yankees 8. The Houston Astros 1.
Oh, I'm sorry, Snowman. I'm sorry he did that to you.
He's a White Sox fan, so he's already in the dumps with that team. But
yeah.
But I think he's more focused on the NBA playoffs right now and dunking on the Philadelphia 76ers. By the way, go back on Friday and listen to the show, or the Friday or Monday. Can't remember which show it was, but he dunked on the Philadelphia 76ers hard after they lost to the New York Knicks this past weekend. But Major League Baseball ramblings, our team is on a bit of a heater right now. They've won. They swept the Detroit Tigers. Although I will say the Detroit Tigers gave the Yankees a hard time.
Oh, they did. And
They were
let me
close
tell
games.
you, Tariq Skubal, very good for the Tigers. He's an ace. He's an ace 100%. And I'm not saying that just because, I only saw him, strike out a bunch of Yankees. Tariq Skubal has been a thing for a while now. I had him on my fantasy team last year. Unfortunately, he was injured for the majority of the season, if I remember correctly. But Tariq Skubal, he is going to be a great pitcher for a long time, I think. The only problem is that Nestor Cortez for the Tigers was Nestor Cortez was nearly as good in that game.
2022 Nestor Cortez is back.
Yeah.
Is back, and I'm so happy because you remember I told you about the game I went to back about a month ago. That game was 2 hours and 1 minute.
Brisk pace.
Cortez was pitching so well. Granted, it was against the Miami Marlins, but still, eight shutout innings and no runs scored. I think 9 strikeouts. He was efficient.
The Miami Marlins are offensively challenged, but still, he pitched well against a team you're supposed to beat.
Yes.
But yeah, I have to say, because I thought, I was getting ready, and I'm so glad I didn't do it. But I thought, because I remember when we had Levesque and Gaz on the brunch episode a couple weeks back, Levesque was extolling the virtues of our Yanks, as we like to do. But I said to him, the offense will cool down, and I don't know if the pitching is going to keep up this pace. And for a while, they were losing games to the A's. They were getting you, and I'm like, here's what's happening. I'm right. But they have righted the ship yet again. So I'm so glad that I didn't say anything, even though I kind of outed myself here in this moment.
Yeah. So I want you to take a look at the standings. I had to rush out for a quick second, but take a look at the standings right now. There's some pretty interesting races going on in the division. The AL East, as of right now, it's a tie. Although Baltimore is up because even though they have one less win than the Yankees, they have one less loss than the Yankees. So it's a weird thing. AL Central, it's a 5-team race in the AL Central, which is kind of fun. AL West, you got a really surprising team. It's again tie for first, Seattle and Texas. Philadelphia Phillies were the first team to 20 wins this year. Who saw that coming? And then you got the West, which is a runaway in the NL West with the Dodgers, Dr. Lady's Dodgers, and NL Central is very competitive. So Dustin, take a look at the standings, and what do you see in that while I go and take care of something?
Well, for me again, the most surprising thing to me so far, and there's a lot of ways that we could go, because Oakland hasn't been as bad as everybody thought they were going to be. They can hang in some games, and Mason Miller, their closer right now, one of the most dynamic people to watch pitch in all of baseball. But the most surprising team to me, and I haven't kept up with everything, it's tough to try to keep up with everything, but the most surprising team to me is probably the Philadelphia Phillies, because I did not think that they would come out of the gates like they have. I thought they were going to have some struggles with their pitching, because Aaron Nola, who they just gave an extension to recently, he can be very, very up and down. And Zach Wheeler has looked dominant at times, but he never really seems to have put it all together. But Zach Wheeler has been very good so far to start this year. And I just did not think the Phillies were going to be as good offensively either. But they've had some timely hitting, and even Bryson Stott at second base, who started out the season slow, starting to pick it up. He's got a few steals in recent games. So the Phillies, again, a team that I didn't really think was going to necessarily contend the way they have in some years past, they're surprising me again. I mean, I remember, I'm guilty of it. The year that they went to the World Series, they were terrible at the All-Star break, and and they fired their manager that year, and I just kind of was like, well, that's it for them. And then I kind of stopped paying attention, and then all of a sudden they snuck into the playoffs. They got hot in the second half. They got into the playoffs, and they took it all the way to the World Series. So Philly is surprising me again. The Marlins are also surprising because I thought their pitching was going to be their strong suit this year, but so far they've had some issues. They have injuries, and they did lose, a dynamic young pitcher for the season, as far as I remember, Estuary Ruiz, one of those arms that went down due to Tommy John, the epidemic around baseball. But Mariners are also a surprise. I'm catching up with some of the comments. Yes, you are right about that. I did not think, Dr. Lady, that they would be performing the way that they are. Candidly, I haven't seen a lot of their games because I'm getting older and I don't stay up as late anymore. But I have to say the Phillies are surprising me right now. I did not think that they would be as potent as they seem to be, and Zach Wheeler seems to be finally rounding into that potential ace form, because Aaron Nola, he is streaky. He kind of reminds me of Blake Snell in that way. Aaron Nola either looks really good or really bad. So I thought the Phillies were going to have a bit of more of a problem, and have to give props to the Dodgers. They've had some injuries and they're still doing well. Andy Pages, they called up. I think he was called up this year. He's a rookie. He's been on fire for them, and some people have stepped up to fill some gaps. And if their pitching can right the ship until some of the arms get healthy, they're going to be a problem again. Walker Buehler just returned. So there's a lot going on in baseball. That's the thing about baseball. Some people gripe that the season is too long, but so much can happen over the course of the season that makes it so interesting.
Yeah, and I had to walk away for a moment here, but there's some surprises in this league. Boston is certainly a surprise.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see that coming either. There's a scrappy squad right there. They're with they're half a game up on Tampa Bay, and Toronto is in last place.
Yeah, which I did not think, because offensively, and I'll have to check in with Scott this weekend. He's a diehard Red Sox fan. I mean, I thought the Red Sox were offensively going to be one of the worst teams in the league. I just didn't think they were going to, but they've had Williar Abreu, I believe. He's been on a tear for them. They've gotten some hitting from surprising spots.
Yeah, and looking at the standings some more, we talked about last year, the American League Central was known as the American League Comedy Central because the Minnesota Twins almost won that division with a losing record. Mm-hmm. That's how bad the division was. This year, it's really competitive. Cleveland's in first, but right on their trail. And I didn't see this coming, Dustin. I didn't see this team coming. The Kansas City Royals are 2.5 games back of the first place in the AL Central.
Yeah,
this team to be maybe probably a year or so away from competing. They're doing it right now, and it's just so surprising to see. They have 175 runs scored. They're plus 46 run differential, which again unexpected. But when you go and look at the stats, and you see who's leading the team in hitting, Bobby Witt Jr., of course, is leading the team in hitting because you signed that big contract in the offseason, the big contract extension, over $100 million for 10 more seasons. But Salvador Perez is back in form.
Yes, he looks great this year.
Yep. Leads the team in home runs with 8 home runs. And he's been he's been a pretty outstanding player in terms of hitting. They picked up Hunter Renfroe, but he's underperformed so far this year. But
yeah,
he's still a guy who can play good defense, and their pitching has been pretty decent.
That
solid.
To me,
Cole Riggins has stepped up and become the ace of the team. Although Brady Singer He's 3-1 with a 2.36 ERA.
Yes, he has looked. That to me is the linchpin because Brady Singer, if he can keep this up, and in my completely uneducated opinion, that's a big if. See, that's the one I feel that he has overperformed so far. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep that up, but offensively, if the Royals can keep, they can balance that out if he kind of regresses a little bit, because the other thing about the Royals is Vinny Pasquantino isn't hitting yet, and he's one of their big bats. And if he starts, if he starts hitting, that could add a new dimension to that offense. So, I like it. I like when the scrappy, quote unquote, small market teams do well. Still waiting on those Pirates. Waiting on those Pirates. Always waiting on the Pirates.
They always seem to fall off.
They're calling Paul Skeens up, though. Highly rated pitching prospect here. So
hey, we saw it happen. We saw it happen a couple of years ago when O'Neal Cruz was called up, and he went on a tear and would help the Pirates win a few games. So, I mean, right now in the NL Central, it's Milwaukee and Chicago. The Cubs are neck and neck. I didn't see the Cubs having a good season until now. The team we highly touted, the Cincinnati Reds, they're 3 games under 500, and the Pirates, who I thought were going to step up, they're 4 games under 500, which is kind of disappointing. But it's mid-May. We're coming on to mid-May, and this is when you usually start to see the teams kind of separate. This is when we say the teams start to really. We start to see around May, June, which teams are going to be competitors and which ones are going to be left in the dust. I can already tell you, Colorado Rockies, Miami Marlins, Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, the Whites.
10 wins or less. Ooh. And then the Houston look, the story of the year so far has to be the Houston Astros abominably bad start.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not there, and that's the thing too, because when you tasked me, when you said, "Hey, tell me what the most surprising thing is for you," I kind of went the positive route.
Yeah.
But if I had thought negatively, they are the surprise of the season so far, because they're not. Did I think they were going to be as good as they've been in past seasons? Probably not, but I didn't think it was going to be like this. This is, I mean, they sent, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they sent, look, age catches up to everybody eventually, except for my dad. He seems like an ageless wonder physically, but they sent Jose Abreu back, like they sent him back, like something's not right with him right now. And they're calling up a younger prospect who I can't remember the name of, just because I think they're trying to get something going. They don't, and I mean, Justin Verlander, oh geez.
Oh my gosh. What happened?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the front page of the Astros website. It says Kyle Tucker home in his 3rd straight game and is tied for the AL East lead with 11 home runs. They're currently down 8-2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I did not expect a team that was 1 win away from winning the American League pennant for the 2nd year in a row to be in this position right now, to be basically in a race to the bottom. Because like the NHL, which is going on right now, Florida's up on Boston 2-1 at the end of 2. By the way, if you're watching it, if you're paying attention at home. But this was a team. I don't know if it was because of it's the residual effect of Dusty Baker retiring, of calling it a career, or if it's just the core of this team just kind of collapsing in on itself. But I did not expect. And Dr. Lady comes in with the snipe of the year. The Astros are a pleasant surprise.
But she also says Trash Can must have gotten Tommy John surgery and is out for the season. That's a good one.
Yeah, and I mean, you got the core of the roster starting to age. Altuve's getting up there. I was going to say George Springer, but he's on the Blue Jays.
He's on the Blue Jays, yeah.
Yeah, but the core of this roster is starting to get older. The pitching starting to get people are starting to figure out the pitching, and it just wasn't. It just I don't know. I'm just shocked. I'm shocked. I mean, maybe it's a change in managerial style that also is affecting the Astros. And look, if the results hold up tonight and the Yankees win tomorrow, the Yankees will have won 7 out of 7 against the Astros this year.
Oh, man.
And that would be, I mean, that's for me. Tag along. I mean, for me, I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating as a Yankees fan, and I'm pretty sure every Yankees fan is feeling a little bit justified because of what happened in 2019.
Yes, it's a measure of revenge, small revenge, but it is a measure.
It's a small measure of revenge, but we'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take it. But yeah, I mean, looking at the standings for the for Major Leagues 2, Seattle is a pleasant surprise. They're up with Texas. The Oakland A's are 2 games under 500.
That's what Oakland. That's what I said when you had to take your
I had to.
You had to take care of responsibilities. Oakland is not as bad as I thought they were going to be. And
No.
Mason Miller, if you're looking for something, to watch, just to marvel at, if you're looking, especially if you're an Oakland A's fan and you're looking for reasons to watch your team before they leave, go watch Mason Miller pitch the 9th inning, because he's out there just throwing gas and fooling people. He made the Yankees look like straight up fools that was when I was at my dad's, and I was helping take care of my dad, we were watching the Yanks.
It's surprising that you figured Oakland's coming to town. That's going to be a 3-game sweep.
Yeah.
Oakland took the Yankees to the limit in 2 of those games and stole one.
Yes.
As well. So don't forget that. I mean, this is a young team. Last year, they were terrible. There were fans protesting the owner. I'm sure they're still averaging about 8,000 in that hole of a stadium, which is unfortunate. But this team's a talented team. It's a team to watch out for. And I'm not going to make any Rice Stradamus predictions, but if you could see them compete for a wild card spot by August. I mean, that's how talented this team is with a bunch of young guys. And I'm gonna keep my eye on them. I'm gonna keep my eye on them for the rest of the season, at least through June, just to see what they do. If they can surprise some teams, they could catch some teams off guard.
Yeah. There's a lot, and the Phillies are doing it again. And like I said, I didn't think they would. And there's just a lot to, and maybe it's partially me, but I feel like, and I can't speak for the entire show, but I feel like our interest in baseball has been reinvigorated this season, just because there's so many things to follow. And there's just a lot to tune into. Although Fios, my cable provider, confoundingly, I've had the MLB network for years, and now all of a sudden I don't have it anymore. And I'm like, and they're like, press the B button to subscribe. I'm like, I've been subscribed. And I have the sports package add-on because I needed NFL Red Zone, of course, but it gets me a whole bunch of other channels. But the MLB network was always there. And I go to turn it on, and I'm like, I'll watch some Pirates versus the Nationals. Sure.
Yeah.
Can't subscribe. I don't know what's going on. I gotta get on the horn.
And shout out to T-Mobile for allowing their subscribers to have MLB.TV for free for the entire season. That's part of the reason why my interest in baseball has picked up, because I get free baseball.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love watching the Yankees, but sometimes you want to see different teams. You want to see some players that you maybe have heard about but haven't seen as much, and I wish I could watch the Pirates, Paul Skeens debut, but I probably can't.
When does he debut?
I do not know. All I know is that I read that they are calling him up. And the Mets recently called up one of their top prospects, Christian Oh, why can I not think of his name? Hold just a moment, please.
All right, it'll be Saturday. Paul Skeens will make his major league debut on Saturday against the Cubs.
Ah, okay. All right. That'll be good. Christian Scott. The Mets called up Christian Scott, one of their top pitching prospects, and he did pretty well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Good for
I
Good
love
for
what
him.
I don't know what your favorite thing in baseball is, but I love when a young pitching prospect is called up and does well. I'm just like, ooh, because you always want to see, at least I do, especially with pitching. For some reason, pitching is the position where I'm like, yeah, but who's the next big arm? Who's the
Right.
next one coming up? And I think it's
Mhm.
because I play fantasy baseball. That's probably why.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to before we get out of here, Dustin has one thing to talk about before we leave. But before we do that, let's get into the comments section. Jersey D saying poor Ryan. Womp womp. And Dr. Lee saying LOL Ryan. That was referring to my romantic dalliances or lack thereof. Dr. Lee saying Philadelphia Freedom, anyone? I mean, that'd be a great team. That'd be a great team name. I mean,
yeah, but also somebody has to have used that as their theme song. I mean, one of the, like, you know how the teams always like rally around a song. I think, and Snowman can help me out with this, but I think it was the White Sox 2005 theme was like "Don't Stop Believing," something like that. Like, you know how a team, and then last year the Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins was saying how
yeah,
Creed was helping to take them higher. You
it
know,
was
certain
yeah.
things like that.
It was "Don't Stop Believing." Yes,
Yeah.
you are correct.
Yeah.
Even though the lyrics say "Born and raised in South Detroit,"
I know.
but yeah, the Creed was definitely part of the Texas Rangers run last year, and it actually it's funny. It kind of got me on a Creed kick myself. So don't at me. Don't at me. I
What
love me some
about
Creed.
Ryan? You're the hockey expert on the show. Do you remember, because there was something, the St. Louis Blues from like 2019 when they won? Like there was
Gloria.
Okay, that's
Gloria.
what it was. Yeah, that's what
Yep.
it was. Okay.
Yeah, it was Gloria by oh god, why
Gloria.
can't what's the name? Laura Branigan.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Gloria.
It was a cover. I went into the etymology of that song. Apparently, it was an Italian pop song first,
Oh, I
but then
did
they
not know that.
translated the lyrics to English, and it actually became a hit for Laura Branigan back in the 1980s. So,
Oh yeah.
she also had that other song. She also had the other song, "Self Control." That was a banger back in the day too. So it's a good one. Jersey Siege saying now I'm still standing by Elton John is in my head. Yeah.
I'm still scared.
6 saying Ryan will be looking like a true survivor and feeling like a little kid coming.
Yeah,
from
that's
the upcoming Jets season.
and you just hit the nail on the head without knowing it's sick. I've always found that lyric a little weird. Feeling like a little kid. I'm like, what? Why?
I think he wrote that song after rehab because he had to go to rehab.
Yeah. Maybe
Let's do
we'll have
some,
to, Elton, if you're out there watching, we know you're a big fan. Let us know in the comments on the replay.
I'm sorry, Sir Elton.
Yes,
Sir
that's right.
Sir Elton. We got to do the appropriate give the appropriate titles here. Dr. Lee saying baseball. Jersey G saying Yankees are better than the Mets. Damn right. 6 saying that's Cole Johnson's, who's the Astros fan. Yes, that's true.
Yes, that is right.
He says Nestor Cortez is unorthodox as they come, and we actually talked about this a few weeks ago when people were all up arms about his fake move on a pitch against the Cleveland Guardians. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'll say it to the hills. Baseball should be fun. Dr. Lady saying Dodgers on a tear of their own. Also saying Mariners are a surprise. Pages is sticking around too, I suspect, for the Dodgers. Yeah. Or Padres. This is when the men are separated from the boys. Yep, May into June. That's when things come up. 6 saying at least the Astros roster aren't acquiring AARP cards like the LA Lakers roster. True that. Dr. Lee adding, don't forget what the Astros did in 2017.
We won't. We won't.
She also had Paul Skeens will debut on Saturday and Sick coming in. When I think I'm still standing, the Gremlins come to mind. Gremlins.
I don't remember that song being in that movie. It's been a long time since I've seen the Gremlins, though.
I remember Do You Hear What I Hear by Paul. I want to say Paul Anka. No, it wasn't Paul Anka.
Was it Engelbert Humperdinck?
It was not Engelbert Humperdinck. No, it was not. It was not him. Crap. Now I can't remember the name. Anyway, but no, I don't think Gremlins. So I think of I'm Still Standing. I don't know what I think of. But anyway, Dustin, before the show, before we close up, I know you said in the green room before we went on, you had something you wanted to talk about before we close out the show. So I'm gonna give the floor to you. Give us some of your thoughts.
All right. Well, this music transition, it's a kind of a perfect transition because we're talking about music and stuff. And I don't want to bring the show down, but I just wanted to say, found out that Steve Albini passed away today. And for those of you who don't know who Steve Albini is, he is a recording engineer, and he recorded In Utero by Nirvana is probably his most well-known album that he recorded. He also had his own bands called Big Black and Schlack, two bands. He came up in the Chicago punk scene in the 1980s, recorded a lot of bands, and he had a lot of ideas about the music industry, and he was just a big influence as to why I decided to try to pursue a career in recording music. I first discovered him when I listened to In Utero because I was, and am still a huge Nirvana fan. And so I just wanted to say, rest in peace to Mr. Albini. Interesting man, had some interesting thoughts. Said some stuff when he was younger that when he was older, he admitted that he regretted. But I think we all have those. And he buried when the recording industry went digital as the standard, he bought the remaining supply of Ampeg tape and buried it in a location that is probably unknown so that he could use. He was a big proponent of analog recording over digital, and he never took points on an album. He believed that he got paid a one-time fee to record the band. That was it. And he didn't think he deserved any extra money for points taking away from a band for performing a task that he was supposed to do. And he always said that he would record anyone that paid him his fee. So R.I.P. Mr. Albini. Thanks for inspiring me to venture into recording music. I know it's a little off topic for the show, but I just felt like I wanted to say something about that.
That's quite all right. I have my influences for starting this show and going into podcasting and wanting to be in sports. I wanted to be a play-by-play announcer after I earned my degree. Unfortunately, it's not that way, although we do our alternative play-by-plays every so often. And hopefully we'll have another one soon. But I was influenced by guys like Keith Jackson, Dick Enberg.
Oh, yeah.
All those guys, Pat Summerall, John Madden. I was influenced by a lot of those guys. Recently, one of the legendary NHL broadcasters passed away, Bob Cole, the voice of Hockey Night in Canada for so many years, passed away at the age of 90. I think. 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so that's graduating. That's not dying. That's graduating.
Yeah.
So it's good to recognize our heroes when they're gone. And I think it's appropriate that you did that because you said he's the guy you wanted to follow, that gave you the passion for music production and music in the music industry. And I know you're a big music fan. You'll listen to a lot of different music. I suspect your taste in music are as eclectic as mine. So I think that passion shows up, and especially in that tribute, that's a very apt tribute to one of your heroes who passed away recently. So
yeah, it just kind of shocked me.
Well said.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you for concluding on that note. And before we get out of here, just want to remind you to please follow us on our social media channels, Twitter, Instagram, and the scarcely used TikTok at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/at NoCredsREQ. We want to thank everyone who has joined us live or on the replay. But we want to remind you to please like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of our social media channels right down here below. On the podcast side, if you're listening on the podcast side, subscribe to our podcast on whichever platform you prefer, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker. Subscribe, follow, like, give us all those things, rate and review. 5 stars would be an optimal rating. If you're on a platform where you can review, we'll read it on the air. And again, those ratings and those reviews gets our name out there. For listening, for people's listening pleasure. We're going to up our game over the next couple of months. We got some things planned for the summer on the YouTube channel. We got some things planned for the podcast side. When the NFL season starts, we're going to do two pods a week, a review on Tuesdays and a pregame and previews on Saturdays. So, good things coming up ahead for No Credentials Required. We think you'll enjoy them.
Oh yeah, and thank you to everybody for being along on this ride with us. It means a lot. It means a lot, especially to see some of the same people in the chat most weeks.
Cred heads.
And yeah, you make the show go because it's your comments that Ryan and I can riff off of, and sometimes you take us down paths that we wouldn't expect, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely. But so thanks for joining us on this edition of No Credentials Required. We're Unit Media Press Pass to talk sports. We are presented exclusively by the Belly Up Media Network. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll be back on Tuesday at the appropriate time. We're gonna try 8:05 Eastern because I'm feeling nostalgic for the Superstation TBS days.
Yeah, there we go.
8:05 Eastern. We hope you join us then for the ride, and we'll be back on Tuesday night. We hope you join us. Until then, we'll talk to you soon.
Good night, everybody.